Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy HMK once again, and a new year means a new episode of The Fifth Dimension. Welcome back to the dimension in which we are now going to be talking about Zelda within 2022. And for this first new episode of the new year, I had to get some fresh new blood who we haven't had on the fifth dimension in the capacity of a one-on-one scale. He's been here before, but never one-on-one. Everyone, please welcome MaskedNintendoBandit. How are you doing today?
Pretty well, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing swell. I'm doing schmoving. I'm glad to be doing the show again, and finally I'm having you all to myself. You ain't going nowhere for an hour. How you doing?
I got you for 3 minutes. Sorry, I just
3
Spider-Man
minutes.
quotes,
Oh man, did you see No Way Home?
Oh yes, sir. I saw it twice, and I almost saw it a third time, but Omicron.
Yeah. I know. I
But
definitely understand. I saw it twice, and I was supposed to see it a third time, but then like the holidays got in the way, and of course Omicron and whatnot. But yo. No. We're talking about Zelda. What are we doing? All right. No.
Let's do the Zelda first. Zelda
first. If it gets to Spider-Man, we get to Spider-Man. Whatnot.
Right.
So the first thing on the docket when it comes to, I would say Zelda in 2022, a lot of people have been like negative Nancy's, but justifiably so, because I'm pretty sure we've both been there when it comes to The Legend of Zelda, and when Nintendo says, "Hey, it's coming out this date or this year," I'm like, okay, all right, Nintendo got it, right?
Yeah,
Do you think Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna be this year, 2022, or
2022? Well, man, I mean, like you just said, there is literally no way to tell for sure, because I'm pretty sure everybody's convinced that even Nintendo themselves doesn't really know for sure. Because sometimes, okay, remember Breath of the Wild, right?
Right.
Infamous Breath of the Wild. The first little date that we got was 2015, I believe, or maybe 2016. I forget, but it got delayed multiple times. And that's fine. To quote Mr. Miyamoto himself, a delayed game is eventually good, right? That's what everybody quotes. But
people
I just
take that out of context so much.
They do for sure. But I just think it's so funny that we are now at the point to where if someone says okay, Nintendo said 2022, but then somebody else says, yeah, okay, we'll see if that actually happens, they get jumped all over. You better be happy that they're taking the time. You better be, you know what I mean? I think it's so funny because Nintendo's the one that made that scenario real, and here we are living it.
Right.
We are literally in a reality where the date might not be the date. But do I hope it's released this year? Absolutely. Do I think it's been long enough? I mean, yeah. But at the same time, I have no idea just how big they're going with Breath of the Wild 2. For all intents and purposes, they are probably trying to one-up Breath of the Wild.
I hope they are. What?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Dude, wouldn't that be crazy if it sold even more than Breath of the Wild? Because Breath of the Wild is already just record-breaking madness.
I don't know about Breath of the Wild 2 outselling. I definitely feel that cool. Nintendo is trying to make it better in all facets, and then it's probably gonna be when the game comes out, it's probably gonna be unanimously thought to be better than the original Breath of the Wild. That happened with Super Mario. I mean, okay, people like to argue, but Super Mario Galaxy 2, come on, it's we all know it's better than Super Mario Galaxy 1, right? And then
I got a confession. I didn't get around to Super Mario Galaxy 2.
You've never played Galaxy? Have you played Galaxy?
Well, Galaxy, yes. Galaxy,
but
Galaxy
Jordan,
2,
I'm telling you right now, you're gonna play Galaxy 2. Whenever you get the chance to play Galaxy 2, you're gonna look at Galaxy 1 and be like, bro, what were they thinking? What was that game?
But will it be as good as Sunshine though?
Anything's good as no, we're not having this conversation. You and Taima are a two-piece in the pod when it comes to Sunshine. I'm telling you, go play that game again. Go 100%. I dare you. I double dare you. Come back to me and be like, yeah, that's still the same good game. Nah, I'm never touching that game again in my life.
We'll talk about that after the Spider-Man stream, I guess. That'll be the third one down the road.
Third one. But
Yeah, but
Uh,
about Breath of the Wild 2 coming out this year, I don't know. I mean, as with everybody, I sincerely hope, I do think that they have had more than long enough to create, I mean, because if you think about it, Breath of the Wild was produced what, like if we say they started working on it like the day after Skyward Sword came out, that
Pretty
would be
much.
2011.
Yeah.
Um, that would be 2011, and then it came out in 2017. And so they needed like 5-6 years. And obviously, not all that time was world building and stuff like that. There's a bunch. I mean, there's everything else that goes into game creation in that 6 years there. But it's been, this is going to be the 5th year, and Breath of the Wild 2 did come about out of their having too many ideas for DLC. So you would
Right.
think that this has kind of sort of already been in development at least since 2017, possibly even before. So all signs point to a 2022 release given their patterns of development. But like I said, there is still that random aspect there.
Right, and I feel like a big random aspect for that is that a lot of people they forget that, oh yeah, Breath of the Wild came out in 2015, right? And then they're like, it was supposed to come out in 2015. What am I saying, right? And then a lot of people keep forgetting the fact that, hey, listen, the reason why I got delayed is because the engine kept falling apart. And with the engine falling apart, like, yo, that could really put a hamper on game development and release and all that good jazz. And I want to assume that Nintendo already has that, like, basically down packed for Breath of the Wild 2, as they should. Like, there's no reason for you to tackle a sequel if you're not, fully mastering the assets used from a previous game if you want to make a direct sequel to that, degree.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Nintendo and the Zelda team and Nintendo EPD, they're always ones to, like, push the envelope as much as they can. And I feel that, of course, when you combine the aspects of what's going on with the world with the pandemic and coronavirus, I feel that maybe somewhere along the lines of development, they kind of like bit off more than they can chew in terms of trying to create new gameplay additions and ideas into Breath of the Wild's original engine for Breath of the Wild 2, and then, like, they divided by 0, and then at some point, like, it fell apart, and they're like, okay, now we gotta fix this because this is too good of an idea to, like, let slip. So
Well,
maybe.
I mean, that's a pretty good, like, piece of speculation there, but I do have a question. You were talking about some people saying the engine was or at least rumored to be falling apart in Breath of the Wild's development, but I actually have not ever heard that. I'm curious now. Was that like a leak from, or was that just a rumor?
It was not really a rumor. It was like, it was. There was an interview with Aonuma, right? Let me see if I could pull it up. But there was an interview with Aonuma where it's like where they talked about the delay a little bit, and they were saying that, oh, the quality of the physics engine wasn't, up to standard and stuff. Like, it was a weird wording that he was giving that basically, like, pointed in directions like, okay, yeah, they were trying to do something ambitious, and it kept, like, not working. So, like, finally, when they got it unpacked, and especially with the Nintendo Switch and whatnot, they were able to get everything working and whatnot. So let me see if I can okay, I'm trying to see if I can find the
Oh yeah, no worries.
quote,
I mean, that
right?
was news to me, but like I believe it. I mean, walking into Korok Forest, I believe it. It's so funny actually. My girlfriend is playing Breath of the Wild for the first time ever, and it's not just her first like Zelda game, it is her first game, as in game
Nice.
in general. So I mean, as far as it being a first game, there's definitely a lot of hurdles that we're getting past. She's got to learn how to like control the camera and all that stuff. See, I grew up playing like Zelda games and Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker and all that, so controlling the camera with a separate thumbstick was like second nature. I took it for granted. But anyway, it's just funny because like she doesn't see technicality really, but even she walked into Korok Forest and she was like, "Yo, what's happening?"
Yeah, yes.
Stuttering all over the
Oh my god, that's too much stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, so I think
thought it
I
was the
found.
TV.
All right,
Oh,
I think
sorry,
I
guys.
found the no, it's all good. I think I found the quote, but it says here that Aonuma called the physics engine of Breath of the Wild a major development for the Zelda series, saying that it underpins everything in the world and makes things operate in a logical and realistic way, allowing people to approach puzzles and problems in different ways. He also expanded on the difficulty of developing the system, recalling how one day during development he entered an area in the game and found that all the objects had been blown away by the wind. And there was I read a nerd interview that they were having problems with hit detection. And like it was like, okay, because it was one of those really ambitious things that are like, okay, this is a huge undertaking, and they thought they had it, and then something happened, and they thought they had it, and then something happened, and then a lot of people put two and two together. That's like, okay, that's what led to probably the delays and stuff, because anything else doesn't make sense in terms of it being delayed. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they had a plan and then it got, backtracked on. So, I mean, that makes sense. I guess I just completely missed that article.
Yeah.
I wasn't really like in the scene, like around then. I really came about when the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer came out. That was like the biggest boost ever to Zelda content.
Oh yeah.
And that made my channel, I will say. Because before then, I was just doing like whatever. I wasn't really concerned about keeping up to date with anything because I didn't really have an audience. But anyway, so that's probably why I missed that. But yeah, I mean, with that in mind, like, I guess I could totally see now why that might be a concern going into Breath of the Wild 2. I mean, like, not only are they doing more cool stuff with their physics engine, they're starting to reverse time and, all sorts of other cool stuff. I mean, someone was mentioning the patents in the chat. If we take those patents of gameplay, that means that they're doing even more with their physics engine. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is just a bunch of bug fixing.
Right.
But I would hope that because I mean, if you think about it, they waited longer for Breath of the Wild 2 to tell us when it's going to come out, or at least give us a year, than they did for the original Breath of the Wild. Because the first time that we had a date on that was like in 2014, which would have been 3 years after Skyward Sword. That was when we had that teaser of, I think the first teaser trailer came out in 2014, but I could be wrong. But it was either 2014 or 15. Either way, only about 3 or 4 years after Skyward Sword was when we got the first date for Breath of the Wild. And if you think about it, they kind of learned their lesson, and they waited a full, like, over 4 years from Breath of the Wild's release to tell us about the date of Breath of the Wild 2. So, I think that on the flip side, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, there's bugs. On the flip side, I think they're also learning their lesson. I mean, I would hope. I don't know, I'm just talking as a hopeful fan at this point. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I honestly, like, hopefully, like, because if we're going to be talking about these patents and whatnot, the one thing that really strikes me as interesting is that, I'm not a game developer, so I don't want to be like, oh, that doesn't seem that hard and whatnot. I don't want to be that guy and whatnot. But I've seen games before, especially developed by Nintendo, where like the backwards time thing, the reversal time stasis that we saw in the second Breath of the Wild 2 trailer doesn't seem that big of a deal considering Nintendo's ability. That's where I want that's what I want to put myself into the conversation. Nintendo ability, because I've seen them do stuff like that before. But of course, in conjunction with the world, that could be a problem. The big problem that I feel. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's also like the big stickler right there, because even if you think about their like magnesis and stuff like that, the concept of controlling objects in a 3D space is not a new one. I mean, play Elder Scrolls, like you can pick objects up and kind of fling them around the place. That's kind of the same thing that magnesis is in Breath of the Wild, but they're having this massive sandbox universe, and so like when it released, even after the release, we saw some bugs that were easily exploitable with magnesis and stuff. Yeah. So I think that you hit the nail on the head there. It's in conjunction with everything else they're trying to do where it starts to get kind of hairy.
Yeah, like, but even then, I feel a bigger problem than that would be that new ability to meld through like the ceiling.
Yeah, the ceiling.
Yeah, that looks like a heavy undertaking, because from what we saw in the patents, like that can only work under the right parameters. And that means you're gonna have to write an algorithm within the game itself in order for the game to know what those parameters are within this gigantic world of Hyrule, along with the new stuff they're adding to the sky. So that sounds like a coding nightmare already. And I'm like, maybe that alone I could. After I saw that patent, I'm like, ooh, I don't know about 2022. I'm hoping for 2022, but lordy.
I think all of us in the creation spectrum at this point need to just start saying it's not coming out in 2022, so that like if it does, everybody's surprised and we could all have a great time. So you know what? I'm just gonna say, yeah, let's hope for 2023. A nice early March 2023 release.
You know, nah, I'm tired of waiting. I'm thinking, honestly,
bro, I'll say this so that you can hope for 2022. It's okay. I'll be the devil.
Yeah, I'm honestly thinking 2022 holiday release. You know,
yeah.
Anyone thinking that this game is gonna come out in March, like I understand. Yeah, the 5-year anniversary of Breath of the Wild is gonna be in March. No, March's game is Kirby. Like March's Nintendo game is Kirby. Right? There's no way.
They don't like to step on, you know, other franchises at the same time.
We got Pokemon coming out this year. We got Kirby coming out in March. So that's the spring game. More than likely, Splatoon is going to be the summer game. So I honestly see Breath of the Wild 2 being the holiday game. Easily.
For sure. And then, of course, Mario Odyssey 2, you know?
Yeah, okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Man, you're talking about Mario Odyssey 2. I'm out here looking out for... What am I looking? Man, Super Mario Galaxy 3, man. Stop playing games, bro. I just need to go back to the Galaxy.
Have they ever done that though? Like gone back to an older series in the Super Mario series and then made a sequel? I'm sorry.
If you wanna count New Super Mario Brothers.
New Super Mario Brothers, like the 3D World one?
Yeah, no, not 3D World. It's called New Super Mario Brothers.
No. I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, well, I guess, but the Super Mario games, or the Super Mario Brothers, games have always been kind of their own continuity type thing.
Right.
So I don't know. I saw that as kind of like Super Mario and then Mario Brothers are like two different ships sailing in this development gameplay sea, you know? So, I don't know.
All right.
But what I am hopeful for is Odyssey 2 at some point.
When it comes to Odyssey 2, it makes me wonder.
What do you think of Odyssey?
So this comes back to haunt me every time I bring this up to when I say anything about Odyssey, especially when I have to relate it to Breath of the Wild. See, this is a fine tangent because it has to deal with Zelda and it has to deal with my feelings on Odyssey. Sure. All right, so my spiel with Super Mario Odyssey is that what's good, Blitzo? Is that Odyssey is a great game. It's an amazing game. I loved playing it, right?
You did. Oh no.
However, here's the big thing. Where would I rank Super Mario Odyssey when I'm ranking the 3D Mario games? All right? And then this also has to deal with Zelda Breath of the Wild, specifically for Switch releasing in 2017 trademark, is that I would rank Super Mario Galaxy 2, then Galaxy 1, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Galaxy 1, 64, 3D World, Odyssey, and then Sunshine. Damn. Now the reason why I say that, all right?
All the way down there.
Yes. Now, by no means am I saying it's a bad game. It's just that you guys need to understand, all right? And Jordan, I say that this explanation, I keep saying it keeps getting misconstrued and whatever, but here it goes. The reason why Breath of the Wild 2, and people get triggered by this, Breath of the Wild, I should say, the reason why Breath of the Wild is a vastly superior game to that of Super Mario Odyssey is that, unlike Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario himself did not grow with the worlds that they were shoving him into for that game. Everyone was so blindsided by the notion of returning to Sandbox Mario that they didn't account for the fact that Mario's abilities did not coincide with the verticality that was introduced in Super Mario Odyssey. When it comes to Breath of the Wild, Link's repertoire of abilities, items, and all that good jazz grew and was adjusted to Link for him to better approach the world that was built around him in order to accommodate that open air adventure. Link was able to glide. He was able to have, stamina, paraglider, warp, all those abilities with the runes and stuff like that. The world was built around Link's abilities and vice versa. In Odyssey, it was not. It was not. And people are like, oh, but the cappy feature in order to capture certain enemies that help you traverse the world. So I'm like, that's only for that specific area of that specific world. Like when you go to Steam Gardens and you have to capture those onion things in order to extend Mario's legs to get to the really high areas. All right. That ability does not stick with him throughout the entirety of the game. Link's does for Breath of the Wild. That's what I'm trying to say when it comes to Super Mario Odyssey and my feelings on it. Now, once again, I am not saying Odyssey is a bad game about enemies. I love the game, solid 8.59 out of 10. But when people say it's perfect Mario, the best 3D Mario, the best sandbox Mario, I'm like, no. And people say the best Switch game, no. It's better than Breath of the Wild, no. And that is my reasoning for it. And people constantly like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, don't I? Like, Super Mario Odyssey was ridiculously vertical. And I have no problem with that as long as Mario's abilities are adjusted to accommodate that new verticality overall to the game's scope. But it wasn't. The only times it was when you had to capture, and that's not an ability that is static throughout the entire game due to the enemies that you have to capture. All right?
You're right. Mario should have had Rivali's Gale, man. I mean, Nintendo's sleeping, bro. No, I totally get you. Everybody's opinions are completely valid. I think you'd probably know that I personally see it a little bit differently, which is totally fine. We could see it differently. I just see them as, it's a different kind of formula, like I see Super Mario games as like they give you your movement arsenal, if you will, at the very first of the game, and then everything else has to fit within that arsenal.
Exactly.
And it's you that kind of grows with being able to control Mario instead of getting new static abilities like Link. He'll get like, okay, you've done 20 freaking hours of gameplay. Now we give you Rivali's Gale to where you can not have to climb up the first 3 stories of a mountain. Or, okay, you've been perfect deflecting. Good job. Now we're going to make it easy on you by giving you Daruk's protection.
Exactly, but those are all just
really
extensions of what Link could already do.
They are, right, they are. And, that's kind of been well, maybe not a staple in Zelda. Well, no, kind of. It's kind of been a staple in Zelda. Zelda's always been about, like, as
actually,
you go along,
no,
you upgrade.
Not really, because in Zelda, like, you have to get the new equipment. That's what I really like about Breath of the Wild.
True.
Like, you can go anywhere you want. Yeah. The equipment that you get in dungeons unlocks new areas. So, like, oh, you couldn't go here before, then you have the bow, now you can. But in Breath of the Wild, you didn't, that wasn't a thing, right?
But that right there, what you just said, is kind of a staple of Super Mario games. You're always able to go anywhere. It just depends on whether or not you personally have the ability to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get a better Cappy. You don't get Rivali's Gale.
But you get a better bridge when you have to capture things with Cappy. There's legit certain areas, like, I've seen people do runs with Odyssey, and it's legit impossible to 100% the game without captures. People have done non-capture runs, and then there are areas where they're like, I can't go here if I can't capture, right? And I'm like, okay, I understand that's the draw of the game, right? But that just that just bothers me that, like, roadblocks like this are praised for, like, a grade A level design when Mario should be able to, like, do this on his own. And I understand, like, once again, I understand the capture mechanic is the draw for Odyssey and stuff, but I don't play Mario to, like, possess to possess Goombas. I play Mario to play Mario. What am I doing playing the Goomba, right?
For sure.
So
It's definitely a different gimmick than because I mean, Nintendo always wants the gimmick of the game for every game that they
yeah.
come out with. Metroid Dread was the freaking dread that you will feel playing every minute of that game, and all the Super Mario games were like, Sunshine had the water, and you could, hover,
Yeah, see, and
whatever.
that's the craziest thing. As much as I disdain Sunshine, that's a grand example of like, okay, Mario's abilities grew with the world. Like Sunshine had these weirdly, intricate
Yeah,
levels,
no, you're right.
right? Like
You're right.
some extremely horizontal, some extremely vertical. But with the addition of Flood, Mario's like, hey, no problem. You just have to know how to use Flood properly,
Tap a different
right?
nozzle on there. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, like that's how you do it, right? My problems with Sunshine are beyond that of traversal. It's just like,
how
yo,
would
the
that
hit
happen?
detection is all over the place in that game. What?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got you. So
Yeah.
how would that happen with Odyssey though? See what I mean? Like how would they, like, if you were working at Nintendo and they were like, yo, here's Mario Odyssey, isn't it the greatest thing in the world? And then you obviously, like slapped him upside the head and said, no, it's not the greatest thing in the world. No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
what would you add or maybe remove to Odyssey to make it more satisfying to play? Would you remove the capture mechanic entirely?
Oh, no. I would just my problem isn't truly the capture mechanic, but the capture mechanic is so reliant on getting Mario over these insanely vertical aspects in Odyssey. So I
Right.
would just rework, I would either rework the world a bit around him in order to closely fit Mario. Okay, so here's an example of one area that was really good built to Mario's abilities, and then like, oh, the capture mechanic is just a bonus in order for you to like explore gameplay aspects a little bit more. All right, so as much as people love New Donk City, I'm like, no, New Donk City, bad example.
Oh,
Great
bro.
example. No, I there it is. All right, great example. Tostarena, the desert. Great example of not only having this vast open world with some vertical aspects, but still maintaining the usage of Mario's abilities within that world. That's a great example. Beautifully built world once again. Awesome, right? New Donk City is just like so fucking vertical sometimes. Like there is no way to get to the top of the building unless you use the power line, right? And
Yeah.
that's like great, in an area that I would love to, jump. I'm out here, possessing a power line. When Jumpman can't jump to the top. Got it.
Right. So like you're a big fan of like the whole multiple ways to get something done type open world gameplay, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So Breath of the Wild was like the greatest thing.
Oh no, I love it. I love it. It's like, when the world tests you in a way that like, hey, listen, you can do it, but I ain't gonna tell you how, but you have everything you need from the beginning to do it.
That's
I'm
a
like,
beautiful
oh,
thing.
let's get it. I love that. Now,
Absolutely.
once again, I know I'm gonna get ripped apart on YouTube and stuff and Twitter. I already know, but I'm just letting you guys know before you guys take it out of context. I loved Odyssey. I 100%ed that game. I would do it again. My problem is that when people are like, it's better than Breath of the Wild, no. It's the best Switch game out there, no. It has its issues, and people need to acknowledge these issues. That's it. All right. Not saying it's a bad game by any means. Well, I'm not saying it's Sunshine. All right. I'm not saying it's Sunshine.
I'm gonna break your heart. You ready?
Here we go.
So you know what game I voted for Game of the Year 2017?
Oh, Jordan, you're.
I didn't even say it, but I mean, yeah, I voted for Odyssey. Okay. I know. What a traitor. What a freaking traitor. But in my defense, that was just my. So I guess we can like segue this conversation into what I thought about Breath of the Wild itself. So like, is it your favorite Zelda game?
Yeah, right now. It is.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. Like, it's obviously the biggest, greatest one as far as technicality is concerned. But like when I was playing it, there's a lot of people that say this. They're mostly old farts like me,
Oof.
But when I was playing it. I went into it with a bunch of expectations that wasn't really fair for it because, you know, Breath of the Wild set out to change everything. And that includes the way that the story is told. And to me, that was like the biggest, like, yo, why am I not playing through this story? To me, I was like, the fact that it is so non-linear and so like, okay, if you want to do this, then that, or that, then this, it doesn't matter. Because guess what? You didn't do any of that anyway. You're just going and basically reading a book or seeing a cutscene about what actually did happen. And, you know, to me, I went into it, I mean, because, man, I called into work, like, for 5 days. I, like, shut the door to my room because I was still living at my mom's. Dude, it was Zelda time, okay? On my new console, nobody could bother me. I had, like, 12 water bottles to last me, like, 2 days until I had to go get some more. Like, that was it. So I played it for hours, man, hours. But, I mean, like, okay, my favorite Zelda game is Ocarina, right? I mean, it is. I'll just throw that out there. So that should already tell you some things.
Right.
So I was expecting something like that because in all those cutscenes and that beautiful, beautiful trailer that we got 5 years ago. Oh, dude, I watch it sometimes just to give myself chills and remind myself that I'm still alive.
It's an amazing trailer, dude.
Yeah, no, dude, that trailer just, the greatest thing ever. But anyway, like, I thought that was going to be the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
I thought that was going to be the game. Like, I got it. Like, I got that it was going to be, like, 100 years later or something. But, you know, this is before any of us knew what the game was about. So going into it, I was like, oh, boy, I'm about to go, like, you know, do some play session where I'm running through the woods and I got to save Zelda. She's crying. I got to save her, man. She's crying. You know, like, but no, you don't play that. You watch that, but you don't play that. And so to me, that was disappointing. But I will say, I've played the game maybe 6 times over since then, completed it like 3 more times, all of which were on hero mode, so that's great, or master mode, whatever it's called. They keep changing the freaking name. But anyway, and I took it slower. You know what I mean? Like, I took those other playthroughs to just really stop, like, expecting so much and just look around, you know? Look at all the freaking mountains that they put into this game and look at all the exploration you can do and all the little things. Because, you know, they went away from having, like, so many cutscenes and really gave, like, people, for instance, a lot of dialogue. And I'm sorry, I'm rambling for, like,
no,
forever.
you're good. You're good.
I could talk about Zelda forever, obviously, but, you know, but they gave, like, people all this nitty gritty stuff. You know what I mean? And, like, that is where the beauty of Breath of the Wild is, really, that's what I believe. It's in all the little things because you know what? That's immersion. That's the kind of I don't know, immersion where a game just can really come out and grip you so that every single thing that people say to you was yours. Because it's so open world, your path is going to be completely different than anybody else's. You know, like, I'm sure what you did in the game was completely different than what I did in the game. So, like, anyway, like, that's what I think about Breath of the Wild. It's still not my favorite Zelda, I will say, because, I don't know, I grew up loving Zelda for different reasons. You know, the first game that I fell in love with that was open world was not Breath of the Wild, that was Skyrim. Right. And before that, it was probably Oblivion. And before that, it was probably freaking World of Warcraft, which is, you know, an MMO. So, like, by the time Breath of the Wild came around and it was like, hey, open world, I was like, okay, what else you got? So, anyway. But that's, you know, I would probably put it at, let's see, okay, here's my list. I did a tier list.
Oh, geez.
Just to kind of put it out there, you know, like before the end of last year. Because I was like, you know what? People assume that Breath of the Wild's my favorite Zelda. That's really why I made that tier list. Because I was just like, I'm just going to throw it out there just so that everybody knows once and for all. Ocarina of Time is king. Right under that, very closely under that, is tied Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. And then under that is like, is that a good awe or a bad awe?
It's both.
That's bad awe. That's good and bad.
It's both.
Oh. Well, you wanna rip into me? Go for it.
I'm not gonna no, it's not ripping into you. No, wait, Jordan. All right, so we're gonna get Jordan back for another episode of the Fifth Dimension. in which we're gonna talk about, and some of y'all know about this already in my chat. Some of y'all already know we're gonna talk about my feelings on Twilight Princess. So, nah, but I already tapped out with my feelings on Super Mario Odyssey. I'm not gonna get crucified twice in this stream. So we're gonna leave that.
I feel like more people would agree with you on that, but yeah, we'll leave it here. It's just,
man, I wish they would, but nah. They like every time I bring up my feelings on Twilight Princess, they're like, "How could you? You do Zelda code? I thought you love Zelda games and stuff like that." I'm like, once again, I love Twilight Princess, but whenever I see it in people's top 5, I'm like, there's something wrong here. But I ain't gonna get into it. Continue your tier list.
Alright, bro. Well, we'll talk about my top 5 later then. But basically, and that's why I like tier lists instead of top 5s, because it's like, it's so hard for me to put a Zelda game definitively above another. Like, you know, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, cough, cough. Anyway, but right under that, I don't call it tier list C, I call it tier list triple S, because all Zelda games are S and up. But anyway,
yeah, no,
triple S is freaking...
I feel that gets so twisted sometimes when you put certain Zelda games in certain positions on like a tier list or a top 10 or anything like that. People automatically assume it's like, oh, since it's not in this placement, that automatically makes it garbage tier. I'm like, no, I feel the same way. I feel like all Zelda games... No. All right, all Zelda games asterisk are S tier games. Right. I'm not gonna go into what that asterisk is because that's a third reason why I would get crucified on this chat. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, Jordan. I'm not doing it.
Hey man, as long as it's not Ocarina. If it's
Ocarina,
no.
Ocarina was my number 1 until Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
And it's number 2 right now. So like.
Okay. Well, I can appreciate that a lot. that a lot.
Nah, man, no, I'm an Ocarina of Time boy. Yo, you know what we should really do? We should really stream Ocarina of Time multiplayer randomizer together.
Dude, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Playing that randomizer with my friends literally burned like how the game's infrastructure and how the game's like chests and progression works into my head. And you learn things that are so interesting with the game's data and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, man, I love this game. I love Ocarina of Time. Yo, Breath of the Wild. Yo, watch out. Yo. The more I play Ocarina of Time, the more I play Breath of the Wild. Maybe I made a mistake. I don't know. Nah, Breath of the Wild's still amazing. Still number 1. But yeah.
Who knows, man? That's it. We're allowed to, like, you know, feel different things at different times. I don't mean to throw him under the bus, especially if he's not watching, but I'm sure you're familiar with the Mr. Hyrule Gamer, Mr. Adam.
Yeah. What's the T on Adam?
Bro. So you know how he's real passionate about like how Twilight Princess is his favorite Zelda game? He always says
no, Adam,
bro.
no.
I know, but you're gonna like this. Go down at some point to his first video on his channel and just watch that.
All right, I will, but
he says it in there. Okay, I'm gonna spoil it for the chat. He says in there, he says that his favorite game is Ocarina of Time. Straight up.
All right, good.
At some point, yeah. So at some point, his favorite was Ocarina. I'm just gonna air his dirty laundry right here, right now. I clipped that and like tormented him with it for a little bit on Twitter, and he was like, "Dude, stop." Anyway, it was hilarious.
No, you were just reminding him of the correct timeline. Yeah. All right?
I was. No, of course, you know, all opinions are valid. All opinions are valid. All right. So, you know, obviously loving Twilight Princess is fine too.
Exposed. Hey, yo! Nintendo Black Crisis in the chat. Hyrule Gamer exposed.
My doppelganger.
Oh boy. Okay, so you know, since Nintendo Black Crisis is here, I'm gonna like he already knows my feelings on it, and I'm about to give you guys a taste about it. All right, so the asterisk in which I feel, oh my God, Jordan, you're gonna have a field day with this. The asterisk to when I say every Zelda game is S tier, except for one, and it ain't the one that a lot of y'all are thinking. All right. I actually like Zelda 2, so. The one Zelda game, and I'm not talking about the re-release. I'm not talking about the Switch version. The one Zelda game that isn't S tier to me, and I've said this time and time again. Everyone says like, "What's your least favorite Zelda game?" I'm like, here we go. It's Link's Awakening.
Really?
That's my least favorite Zelda.
Really?
So,
wow.
couple reasons why, and then that conversation is gonna get plugged. All right. One, how dare you try to tell me that a game with the fucking Eagle Tower is is anything but S tier? How dare you? All right. Two, other than the Eagle Tower, the game was painstakingly easy and quick. Three, it was glorified Link to the Past. Like, everyone's like, oh, Zelda games bring something new to the table every time they release. Not Link's Awakening. Oh, it was like, I'm like, what's the new thing other than the fact that it was the first mobile Zelda game? Oh, whoop-de-doo, Link to the Past on my Game Boy, bro. If I want a Link to the Past, like, with a shitty lighting scheme and whatnot, I'd just go back to my Super Nintendo and play Link to the Past, which had better dungeons, which had harder gameplay, which had better items. Oh, we gotta wake up the Windfish. Eagle Tower. Nah, better get out of here.
Well,
So
I will say be careful because, you know,
I know. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I've been in this game 10 years. And every time I bring that up, I always get bro, there's always needles to my eyes. All right.
Well, you know how many people say that about Ocarina?
Oh, man,
About how
they're
just
wrong.
the 3D. Yeah, it's just the 3D A Link to the Past.
3D
right?
Link to the Past? All right, no.
everything.
Okay, so I understand because, like, Link to the Past did Link to the Past and Link's Awakening did inspire a lot of stuff for Ocarina of Time. So I understand a little bit, but there's so much that Ocarina of Time has done, and this is the thing I've told this to NBC, I've told this to Zelda Master, I've told this to everyone in the fucking Chamber of Sages, I've told this to Taima, Ed, I've told this to Conrad, I've told this to everybody, and I'm like, listen, the reason why Ocarina of Time is one of the best games ever made is because unlike all these other games that get made by all these other developers, is that you can say, oh, but this did it better, that did it better, this did it better. Yeah, that's all fine. But you know what Ocarina of Time did better than all those games? It was the one true game in all aspects, which was a truly well-oiled machine in all facets. Characterization, music, gameplay, graphics. Oh my god, content. All that shit, difficulty. It was just the best well-oiled machine I have seen in a Zelda game ever. And people are like, oh, Majora's Mask is better, oh, Twilight Princess is better, oh, Wind Waker is better. Okay, here are the minuses to each one of those games. Minuses to Ocarina of Time, what's the minus? Oh, Z targeting really messed up gameplay. Man, get the fuck out of here, Raptor. And then people have the audacity to be like, oh, 20 frames per second looks nasty. No, it gives a cinematic feel and whatnot. And also, when we're talking about technical aspect, Ocarina of Time introduced so much to gaming that people really do not give it credit for. And I'm not talking just about Z targeting. I'm talking about the rendering abilities that Ocarina of Time has done. Like, that game was literally so ahead of its time. Nintendo literally developed a fucking technique that allowed Ocarina of Time, whenever Link is facing, everything in front of them gets rendered in order to save the space and disk usage from the RAM on the N64 and on the card itself, so it doesn't fucking blow up your system, right? And people constantly like, oh, but what has Ocarina of Time done? Nah, don't get me twisted. I'm sorry.
No, I greatly enjoyed that. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It's actually amazing that you brought up Hikariemr because that's exactly who I was thinking of when I said that. His infamous video saying that Ocarina was really nothing special and that, like, I don't know, 3D gameplay is... I think that's what he really had a problem with, was the fact that 3D gameplay is, by definition, harder than 2D. Because with 2D, you can just see everything. With 3D, I mean, newsflash, we live in a 3D world. Like, it's just kind of something that you have to get used to. If you're facing one direction, you can't see the other direction, you know, like... Anyway, but yeah, like, obviously that's not what I think. Obviously that is not what I think. I just am, I was just bringing that up because, you know, regarding Link's Awakening, I mean, yeah, it was essentially just a link to the past, but, you know, you got to give it a little bit of credit. It had an actual platforming, like, flipping back and forth system that worked. I feel like, you know, the few times within the dungeons that you could walk around upright and jump around as Link was actually nice, and a nice little fresh change of pace. A Link to the Past didn't do that. Zelda 2 did, of course. So I think they just kind of skipped and then brought that back.
Yeah.
But you said we're gonna plug that conversation, so I won't go too far into that. If
Right.
you want, dude, we can do like a different stream where we literally just like defend different Zelda games. That I
I'm
feel like
so
that
down.
that would be pretty dope. Because I mean, like we have one really big Zelda game in common. That's Ocarina. I love Ocarina to death. Like to death. Love it.
Hmm.
But we
I
do
can never
have
get
some
tired of playing that
differences
game,
too.
honestly.
Oh, bro, no, I have to play it at least once a year, maybe every 2 years if I had a busy year. But like, I just have to. Actually, I'm gonna go off on a little tangent. I'm gonna get like really sad and sappy. So,
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, but I'm
Mhm.
just gonna be as bright as I can about it. So, like, growing up, I was like all over the place. It wasn't a military family. It was a like a religious background thing. I don't know
Okay.
if you know much about that, but basically some families try to be like what's called missionaries and then like go
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
it's a
okay.
bunch of
Yeah.
jargon. But point is we had to like, yeah, I was like literally like 5. So I didn't have much of a choice in what happened. I just had to pack up and go. Uh, so we would pack up and go all over the place. Like literally from the time I was like 5 until the time I was 12. Those are very formulative years, and I lived in
Right.
India, I lived over here, whatever. So when people ask me where'd you grow up, I don't really have an answer. It's like I don't really know. It's like who were your childhood friends? I don't know, my siblings. I
Right.
didn't. It was we were never in one spot for more than like a year before moving. But it hit me the other day because I was thinking to myself, I was like, why is Ocarina of Time so freaking special to me? Because I was editing the video together that I went live with today about Mido, and I saw the credits roll and I heard the music, and dude, this is probably the most geeky, stupid thing you've ever heard, but my eyes freaking teared up, all right? Like, I was just like, oh, this game, it changed my life. But like, and then I thought to myself, I was like, why is this so special? It's just like, I don't know. I see media all the time, but why is this special? Well, it's because, to be honest with you, I grew up in Hyrule. That's the only freaking thing that I had in common, no matter what house I was in, no matter who I talked to, whatever. I could always open up that Nintendo 64 and I could go visit Hyrule. And I could find cuckoos. Or I could break some pots. Or you know what I mean? Anyway, Ocarina has a lot of nostalgic value, but obviously it's also got a lot of actual systemic value as well, which I completely agree with. But me personally, I don't think that even if they made like an Ocarina times 2, that's just blatantly better in every single freaking way. I don't think that I could ever forget it. I don't know. Maybe that's just blind nostalgia. But I think that if we're being perfectly honest, everybody who has Ocarina as their favorite Zelda game has some facet of nostalgia in that decision. I think if we're all being
No,
blatantly honest,
man. Nah, 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 nah.
not
It
even
was
a
that
little,
was that
not
was
even
a
2%.
beautiful. No, not even 2%. That was a beautiful story, man. But I can tell you, bro. Like, I grew up with Zelda. I played the first one. I played Link to the Past, and Ocarina of Time just stuck with me when I was a kid. And it was just like the majestic viewing of Hyrule in a 3D space, and everything. Like I said, well-oiled machine, it all just came together perfectly, right? And then like if it
Right.
was
It did.
nostalgia, if it was nostalgia, if I were to go back to it in any version, like the regular version, the 3DS version, a randomizer, then I wouldn't have a good time. Then like at one point I would like realize, like, me in my old age, I'd be like, okay, listen, this kind of stopped getting fun for me, or damn, how did I like this back in the day, or something like that. Those thoughts would creep
No, I
up
got you. I
at,
got you.
at, at like
That's a
at
good
any
point.
random moment, right? But for
That's a
Ocarina of
good point.
Time, that never shows up. It's not a nostalgia thing. That game holds up increasingly, surprisingly well, and that's why I feel Zelda games, even with Breath of the Wild, with the flavors that it has now, still follow those junctions that were established in Ocarina of Time, being the first 3D Zelda game, right? And it's not nostalgia, because if it was, then I wouldn't be hyped. It's like, all right, playing Ocarina of Time, streaming Ocarina of Time, yeah, let's get it. Master Quest, all that stuff, bro. It's not nostalgia, because You know,
No, that's a good point.
nostalgia is only so, what's the word I'm looking for? Nostalgia only lasts so long and is only so potent, right? And a lot of people like disregard that. There's like, oh, that's just nostalgia talk, and I'm like, okay, but nostalgia can only talk for so long, right? Because I like, what do I have to gain from blinding myself for this many years playing this game this many times and stuff? I've literally played Ocarina of Time more times than I can count, right? And and that's literally one of the games I can never get tired of. There are some games that are like, oh man, you know what? I'm not feeling this. Especially, and that's the craziest thing. There's been situations in Ocarina of Time, either in randomizers or in regular runs, where I get, like, something happens and either my game shuts off or it turns off, or I lose this much progress, or I get mudded for some reason, or I drop my 3DS, or my computer freezes, or my Switch runs out of battery, something, right? I've had situations like that during my playthrough of Ocarina of Time, and I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Boots back up, let's get back into it, without a second thought. There are games out there I'm really feeling it, but if I fuck up and I don't save for like an hour, I'm like, okay, listen, I don't want to see this game for the rest of the day, right? That and that does not happen with Ocarina of Time for me. So that's like, it's not nostalgia. It's not nostalgia, man. You know what? You know what game is nostalgia? You know what game that was protected by nostalgia for the longest time on my mind? And then when I 100%ed it, I'm like, bro, how did I even survive this game when I was a kid? I must have been psycho. I must have been out of my mind. Sunshine. That game is shielded. That game is shielded by layers of nostalgia, man. And I tore down those walls and I'm like, bro, who the fuck was in charge of developing this game? Who hurt you, and what do I need to do to enhance your life? Because Sunshine ain't it, all right? So that's a game that was guarded by nostalgia, bro. Ugh.
No, I got you, man. I got you. I obviously I still like Sunshine. It's not my favorite Super Mario game. I think definitively, like, if I don't know, Mario Odyssey is just so crisp feeling, and that's the only reason why I like it better than Mario 64, because Mario 64 is, I mean, again, I don't quite know if it's nostalgia or just a harmony of everything coming together in a beautiful kind of way. But Mario 64 just painted the picture for what just a bona fide adventure game needs to be. I mean, you got a home world, you got different worlds. You get, I mean, how many games copy that? You know, that what am I trying to say? How many games copy that? You know what I mean? Like a home world and all that stuff. That's where it came from. Anyway, so I loved Mario 64 and I loved platforming through everything. It was just solid. But then Sunshine came around. And I don't know, man. I played it the other day when it came out on the Switch, and I don't.
Bro,
I like
I am telling you, man. Sit down for 5 hours and get to the nitty gritty.
5 hours.
Look,
okay,
like,
not 4 hours.
The game has really, like, Nintendo Black Cries puts it in a really good way. The game has really good controls, right? And
that guy's the speedrunner.
Yeah, but so he knows. Talented. He knows. The physics on that game is brother. Dude, the physics on that game sometimes are bonkers. I'm like, okay, listen, the hit detection is all over the place. Like, sometimes, like, Flood does not shoot as far as I want him to. And, man. Yo, and Nintendo Black Crisis. I had to 100% that game for a stream goal. And I 100% that game. And I'm telling you, I am never touching Sunshine again in my life. I am never touching that game again. Nope, never again. Give me Galaxy 2, give me Galaxy 3. Bro, Sunshine should get deleted from the 3D Mario All-Stars and then just shove Galaxy 2 into that, please.
Actually, you know what? I think I might second that, but then again, I haven't played Galaxy 2, so that's just kind of...
I'm telling you, bro. Galaxy 2 is gonna make you look at Galaxy and be like, bro. Nintendo, yo, what was this? The trial version? Ah, man. Man.
So is Galaxy 2 how Galaxy 2 was to Galaxy? Is that how Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be with Breath of the Wild?
I hope so. I honestly hope so, because Breath of the Wild, honestly, it is my favorite Zelda game, but I'm not going to deny that the game has massive flaws, right? But the reason, like, and this is the reason why, like,
Wait, what's one of those flaws? Sorry, I don't mean to derail you.
oh no, that's good. That's gonna be part of the conversation, right?
Okay.
So the massive flaws, is that the storytelling, the pacing of the storytelling, or I should say, the concept of the storytelling itself was poorly executed, extremely poorly executed, right? And that's why I understand, a lot of people's gripe with the story. The story itself, in my opinion, is not bad. The way the story was executed and paced and brought to us was bad. That was bad, right?
I mean, I wouldn't even say it was bad. I would just say it was okay.
Nah, it's okay. You don't have to defend it, bro. It's bad. So the story itself, the story itself, I thought the story itself was pretty good, right?
Yeah, but no, the story's great. Just watch the trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that story's great. They have some great writing there, And when have we ever seen like Link fall before? Like this is some deep, dark stuff, I loved it. Exactly. It. And that's one of the reasons why we're so excited about the sequel, right?
Yeah, the concept of the story is great. It's just that the way it's it wasn't presented in a digestible fashion that a lot of people have known for Zelda games. So that's one. Two is obviously the music, right? I'm a fan of ambience. I like the ambient feel of Breath of the Wild, but at one point it's like, okay, listen, Zelda games before had such bumping tracks, and Breath of the Wild does have bumping tracks. We have the Moldolga theme,
Mazkoshia.
Mazkoshia. Oh my god, yes. When you're in the castle, that the remixes to Gan's theme and Zelda's theme within the Hyrule Castle theme, it was great. Yeah. The remixes to the Divine Beast, those were great. But the thing is, some of these tracks you never hear again after you hear it once in Breath of the Wild, right? And I'm like, right? And then the battle theme, I didn't like the overworld battle theme. I wasn't feeling.
Yeah, it's a little, and they put like those scissors in there and stuff. I will say they had so Breath of the Wild soundtrack, in my opinion, is more like scientific than it is artsy.
Right.
Because like the greatest defense for the Breath of the Wild soundtrack that I've heard is the fact that like Breath of the Wild has super big freaking areas, and like hearing the same bop and theme that will reset in every 3 minutes, when you're in an area for an hour or 2 hours at a time, would, some people, of course we haven't seen it happen, but some people say that's the reason why. They say that's why, they didn't have just like a banger, like freaking Twilight Princess. I mean, we do have to admit, right, that Twilight Princess had good music.
Oh, maybe. Easily. Easily.
Yeah, there we go.
Easily.
The Hyrule Field theme from Twilight Princess, like, if you listen to that on loop for an hour straight, would you get tired of it? Check yes or no. You know what I mean? No?
No.
Okay, all right. I vote you stream that, and then we will see. We will see. You stream it for an hour.
This man believes that I will not get tired of the Twilight Princess theme. Nah.
It is a little bit of a challenge.
Oh, it's a little bit. No, not even. So, going on with the rest of the things that, like, glaring weaknesses of Breath of the Wild. I actually didn't have a problem with rain. I don't have a problem with weapon breaking. What do you call him? What's his face? Yonobo's quest leading up to the Divine Beast, that needs to go. That was just that was not it. Now,
for real,
the reason why what?
Yeah, go on.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say personally, I actually enjoyed that because, Breath of the Wild is so expansive, right? That's the one thing that everybody says about the game. We all know that it is expansive and huge. But in that expansiveness and hugeness, the gameplay is always the same. It just is. It's up to you, of course. But, like if you are the kind of person that will bolsterously, like, barge in the front doors of an enemy camp, you're probably going to do that with every enemy camp. Or if you're the type that's going to sneak around, you're probably going to do that with most of them as well. That's just kind of who you are. So that's always the same, the entire world of Breath of the Wild. But there are a couple, and I do mean a couple because really there's only like two. There are a couple different events that you have to play through that actually switch up the gameplay. And that's one of them. And I was like, okay, cool. I actually have like a different objective here. It's not just completely open where it's like, what is my objective? And everybody just shrugs. It's like, well, your objective's up to you.
Right.
In the Unibo thing, it's like, okay, I got to get him up this mountain and I have to figure out how to do it. That's actually, ironically, one of the few parts of the game that actually felt like a classic Zelda game to me. And the other one was the Yiga clan sneaking quest. Because, you know, like, obviously, Ocarina of Time, my favorite game. One of the most famous and memorable areas or events in Ocarina of Time is sneaking into the castle courtyard. And, you know, having
You
the guards,
cannot
like,
compare the Yuga thing into that. Not.
no, but I mean, the concept's the same. You
Yeah,
got
but I
people
mean, the
walking around.
Yiga gave you a game over, and those knights just
Well,
threw you outside
yeah.
the thing.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I mean, obviously, you know, the consequences were vastly different unless you were good at the game like me and you could just kill them,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
But no. But the concept's the same. It you wait for them to go around and you sneak past the large blocks. I mean, that's a similar concept, right? But either
Definitely.
way, what I'm saying is either way, that was one of the few like areas in the game where I was like, okay, I appreciate having an objective here. So
All right, I
I
get
feel like
it, but like
yeah,
I hate when I play a certain game where it's so liberating and then you get like shell shocked into like a forced gameplay style, right? That's why I
true,
love Metal
true.
Gear Solid 5 so much. Like, holy shit, that game's amazing. If have you played that game? Please play that game.
I have not. I have never played a Metal Gear actually.
Oh, just play 5. Just
Yeah.
play 5. You don't need to play that. Just play 5. All
Really?
right,
Just 5. Okay.
just 5. Just play 5,
Will
and
do, sir.
then go back to the others. Now, ending off the point that I was beginning to say, the reason why I put Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, above Ocarina of Time, despite me saying that Ocarina of Time was such a well-oiled machine in all facets, is that Breath of the Wild, despite its flaws, the pluses in that game shine so brightly that it ascends above Ocarina of Time for me. Not by a lot, but like when you have a game that works near perfectly, in my opinion, like Ocarina of Time, like how do you beat that unless you achieve, you know, a higher level of perfection? Which I mean, like, is a concept that is it real? In my opinion, you ascend past that when you have what's good about the game, despite having flaws. What's good about the game is so good that those flaws are like an afterthought unless you decide to focus on
Sure.
it,
Yeah.
right? And
Sure.
that's what
No,
I
I
feel with
totally
Breath of the
get
Wild.
that. And honestly, if I wasn't admittedly kind of blinded by nostalgia, I'd probably say Breath of the Wild's better than Ocarina anyway, because like for the same reasons, you know, because everything that Ocarina was good at, Breath of the Wild is better at, except for
Right.
storytelling. But that's, you know, we already talked about that, or rather the mode of storytelling. But everything else, it's just better. You know, it's got the huge open sandbox physics on the entire world. It's got sneaking quests, like I just mentioned. It's got weapons. It's got, you know, really, really cool gadgets. Of course, Ocarina of Time still had that classic linear uh, gameplay, which meant that you needed to have gadgets that helped you get around better. In Breath of the Wild, you don't really need that. So that's kind of different, but that's also something that was just, you know, like I'm talking about stuff like the hookshot and stuff like that. But you know, that's kind of something that doesn't need to return in Breath of the Wild because of how Breath of the Wild is built. Just freaking climb up, you know what I mean? You don't need to use a hookshot anymore for anything like that.
Right. And a
Um,
lot of people
but
complain
yeah.
that like, oh, but where'd the hook shot at?
Well, I mean, like it wouldn't really be used all that much, I don't think. Plus, I mean, the hookshot canonically only sticks to wood, so like, you know. I mean,
Right.
yeah, there's plenty of trees in Breath of the Wild, but
Yeah,
like, you know,
vines and
you can,
stuff.
yeah, you can just climb up everything, you know? They were like, okay, we're gonna take the hookshot away, but you can literally climb anything. So I'm okay with that.
Right. So that is actually a good way to end off on the stream because we're a little over time. But guys,
All
thank
right.
you so much for coming on out to the return of the fifth dimension. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It will be up on YouTube tomorrow, and I will see you. Whoa, I'm sorry. I will see you guys next time for another episode of the Fifth Dimension, in which you guys already know. Follow me on Twitter so you guys get to know what the episode is going to be on and who's going to be the special guest. And once again, big thanks to oh my god. I'm sorry, like I was coughing there because I've been like I was ranting so much.
You can
big
just say
thank
Nintendo
you.
Black Crisis.
No, I wasn't gonna say that because I was looking at your handle over on Twitter, and it's like every time I'm like, okay, Bandit Nintendo Bandit, Masked Nintendo Bandit, Jordan. All right, Masked Nintendo
Jordan.
Bandit. Thank you so much for coming on out to the stream.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everybody for watching.
Oh my god, it's been great. But before I toss y'all to the wind, let's go ahead and rate another member of the Fifth Dimension, because the Fifth Dimension is not just a podcast, it's also a team I run here on Twitch. And I see that Momo Pokemon is currently streaming another game that is, you know, I would say not directly linked to Breath of the Wild, but has some similarities, and that is Horizon Zero Dawn, because those games came out at the same time, and it's like, hey, post-apocalyptic open world adventure that has killer robots on the loose. Right? Am I right? So we're gonna go ahead and raid Momo Pokemon, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be grand. So until the next episode of the Fifth Dimension, don't forget to be brave, dive deep, and enter the Fifth Dimension. We will check you guys later.